The Gambia Health Ministry assures the public of quality facilities at quarantine centers for COVID-19. South Sudan lack enough COVID-19 treatment centers despite discharging 42 COVID-19 patients. Ugandan government has eased COVID-19 restrictions to boost the country's economy after partial lockdown. Well, these and more coming on the world today. Hello, this is iAfrica TV live from Banjul. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin. Many thanks for joining us. Now, the Ministry of Health on Thursday visited quarantine centers to update the media on the level of preparedness in terms of isolation facilities for the COVID-19 patients. Public concern have been directed on the quality of these centers after government announced millions in budget to maintain them. Well, the Director of Health Promotion and Education at the Ministry of Health, Modunjai, explained the purpose of the visit.
You are here to see what we have, to talk to Dr. Manja and his team, what facilities they are providing, be it for how do they get people from the provinces and other parts of the country to here, how do they manage them, and also you also have a right to ask any questions you want to ask, because these questions you are asking, the responses will also help us to clear certain doubts that people are also trying to portray on social media with regards to our facilities.
The manager of the Badala Park, Dr. Abubakar Manjan, to whom the government had paid over $3 million for the quarantine facilities, spoke on the coordination aspect of the program.
One thing I want to make clear is quarantine doesn't mean that you are in prison. Understand? We have, as I mentioned, we have standard operating procedures in place. So if you come, you get to your rooms, you are given all the services necessary. Of course, your human right as well is respected. It doesn't mean that when you come, we lock you in a room and then we forget about you. No. You are in your room. We restrict your movement in terms of interaction with others.
That was Dr. Abubakar Manjang speaking there. Now, a UN human rights official on Tuesday expressed worries about the condition in many prisons in the region of Americas, with thousands of inmates and prison officials being infected by the coronavirus. Some countries had taken steps to release those most vulnerable to COVID-19, but the advocacy for the broader measures to reduce the extreme levels of overcrowding continues. Waves of violent protests in prisons appeared so common that human rights of inmates are growing concern for human rights guardians. More details of that in this report.
UN Human Rights Office is worried by conditions in many prisons in the Americas region, given that chronic overcrowding and unhygienic conditions, coupled with the lack of proper access to healthcare, have enabled the rapid spread of the COVID-19 in many facilities. Spokesperson for the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Robert Colville, briefed journalists on the prison conditions in the Americas.
Thousands of inmates and prison officials have already been affected across North and South America. In many countries, the increasing fear of contagion and lack of basic services, such as the regular provision of food due to the prohibition of family visits in many countries, these have triggered riots and protests.
Some of these incidents, according to the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, have turned extremely violent. The specific events refer to a revolt by prisoners in Venezuela, which resulted in the death of 47 inmates 4 days earlier. A riot broke out in the prison in Peru, left 9 inmates dead. On the 21st of March, 23 inmates died after security forces intervened to suppress rioting in the prison in Colombia. Other incidents, including attempts to escape, have been registered in detention centers in Argentina, Brazil, and Colombia. Mexico and the United States, said the spokesperson. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Suare.
And from the report there by Julden Suare, of course, next we head to Uganda, because Ugandan economy is gradually picking up as the government eases COVID-19 restrictions after more than 1 month of partial lockdown. The move is expected to help resuscitate businesses as the country registered a limited number of coronavirus cases so far. Residents in the capital have welcomed the decision, but authorities are not relenting on their efforts to curb the spread of the disease. For more details of that, we go with this report.
A gradual return to the new normal. Uganda has been under partial lockdown for more than 45 days, but parts of the economy are starting to reopen.
The criteria is premised on the following issues. Number one is contribution to the economy or the economic impact, and potential to mitigate the risk-based sector activities and crowding. 3, the socio-economic vulnerability, and finally, expanded capacity for surveillance, testing, and care as more sectors are opened.
In downtown Kampala, business is gradually picking up, but authorities owners are still concerned about the spread of COVID-19, so it could take a while for all the shops here to reopen. For now, some key sectors remain closed. Travel by public transport or private vehicles is still banned, and schools and entertainment centers will remain to stay shut to prevent large gatherings. But as the government relaxes the measures, there has been a spike in imported cases. So the reopening has drawn mixed reactions from the public.
As far as the disease is spreading, it is safe for us to keep home. But then the major thing disturbing Ugandans is income. Ugandans are very poor, and it's really pushing everyone down.
They allow these people to move anyhow. This disease may increase, and these people, most of the people, they may die.
To extent it wasn't be bad, but in my view, it was like he would let people work, but he would be putting some measures that everyone should be checked.
Uganda has recorded low numbers of coronavirus. To keep it that way, authorities are doing mass testing of transit truck drivers, border communities, and also policing unchecked border points. They hope that these and other measures will help curb the spread of the disease and prevent the need for yet another lockdown.
From that report, there Kampala, we of course next move to matters of the EU, because the European Union on Wednesday announced the provision of $73 million, which is about 1.3 million euros, to fund technical assistance in support of the National Environment Agency and Department of Water Resources. According to a media release from the EU delegation, the long-term project is designed to mitigate the consequences of climate change in the Gambia. Within 36 months, the contract is expected to provide capacity building and support to a range of climate mitigation and adaptation activities, according to the ongoing Climate Resilience Coastal and Marine Zone project. The European Union ambassador to the Gambia, Attila Lyon, said that the need to be preparedness for what they call after COVID-19 in the Gambia is as anywhere else in the world. He described the beautiful green nature as one of the main assets that should not be spoiled. He pledged Europe's desire to work hand in hand with the Gambia on the point that the only future is that of a sustainable and green future. And from that report or development from the European Union, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
kaas pawa bi jeex na depuis démba xettali ma rek ni jaay nga jëndal ma kaas pawa balaa yére yi di wow dama passé
fii amoo fi benn xaalis laa amut waaw may ma tuuti waaw Mamadou waaw ma ne dimbale ñu rek nga yónni ñu kaas pawa léegi suñ kaas pawa moo jeex depuis démb ok baax na
bi jaay jaaxle naa de yow Mamadou naka lam ñoo jëndalee kaas pawa te fekk mu ngi bitim réew ni jaay
xanaa xamuloo ne ak balu waaye mën a nekk ci bitim réew mun naa yónnee njabootam kaas pawa ni ngay def yomb na da ngay log on to www.baluwo.com nga jëndee courant ci compagnie yi nga xam ne ñoo saytu wàllu courant ci dëkk yu mel ni Gambia Sénégal Mali Nigeria ak Sierra Leone.
Welcome back. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on iAfrica TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Now, as the world grapples with the COVID-19 global pandemic, World Bank has warned that foreign investment would fall by 40%. The global financial institution is devising means to help revive the collapsing markets. This period, according to a senior bank official, is before growth. Details of that in this report.
The Chief Operating Officer of the International Finance Corporation has expressed concern about the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the global economy. Stephanie van Frederburg said on Wednesday that the world has already seen somewhere in the range of $100 billion leave emerging markets since the beginning of January. He was in a briefing via video teleconference during which he said that production, employment, trade, are all down in emerging markets. The World Bank official estimated that foreign direct investment will be down by 40% in both 2020 and 2021 from its base in 2019.
I would start by saying it doesn't matter whether you're in a developed country or a developing country. Locking down an economy creates insolvency. And what we're going to see is a rise in unemployment and a loss of jobs is at the firm level. And the longer the lockdown lasts, the more probability of insolvency.
The World Bank, as noted by Frederburg, is currently occupied with ways and means in saving the collapse of markets, a stage known as the relief phase.
So on the relief phase, which is really phase one, where we are, our intention is to try to the extent possible to help prevent the destruction of markets and the destruction of companies. We're trying to ensure to the extent possible that we keep as many jobs as we can in emerging markets.
The International Finance Corporation is the World Bank institution that is responsible for matters of the private sector. For iAfrica News, I am Aminata Job.
And from the report there on matters of the World Bank, next we head to the South Sudan, where the first two COVID-19 patients in the country are discharged from hospital and happily return home after their treatment for the coronavirus. Despite the positive news, the health sector is still faced with inadequate health equipment to deal with the confirmed cases of COVID-19. Many are now worried about the situation, but the partial lockdown would be maintained according to the government to stand the spread of the disease in the country. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Karaba Juma is a driver for the first person diagnosed with the coronavirus. South Sudan. Being a driver of the first patient, Karaba was tested and the result was positive. Karaba said he developed a cough, difficulty in breathing and general body weakness. He was isolated and underwent treatment. After 25 days, medical personnel here say he has now tested negative 3 times and he is free to go back home.
I thank all those that treated me here. I ask God to help them and help this country. I urge those who suspect that they've contracted the coronavirus to come forward. There are people saying the government is burning all those that test positive for COVID-19. It's a lie. I was at this hospital and I've been treated well. Who is burning people?
However, South Sudan's health ministry says its facilities cannot yet accommodate all those who test positive for COVID-19. It says those that are asymptomatic in their homes. But there are reports that some people who tested positive are not following the stay-home order.
They are mobile because they lack certain basic things in their homes. Food, water, electricity. And this will trigger some of them always to leave the house and go outside. But has been raised at higher level to address this situation.
Karaba Juma says his main goal now as he goes home is to follow the health ministry's guidelines to avoid potential reinfection. Many here now fear that there could be a wider spread of COVID-19 in the country. The government says it will maintain the current partial lockdown and curfew indefinitely, but that it still doesn't see any reason for going for a total lockdown to contain the spread of the coronavirus.
South Sudan, they are treating her first 2 COVID-19 patients and who finally returns home happily. Now to South Africa, because South Africa is expected to lose about $15 billion in tax revenue due to the impact of COVID-19. The government has lost more than $200 million in taxes as the sale of alcohol and cigarettes are still prohibited. Experts say other areas of tax revenue have also been lost, but authorities are resolute to revive the economy, but it is not without ramifications. Details of that in this report.
The tax authorities estimate the total annual revenue shortfall would be about $15 billion. On corporate taxes, there was a 55% decline in April, and VAT refunds were 12% lower. The authorities have already lost around $255 million in taxes as the sale of alcohol and cigarettes is still banned.
SARS collects those taxes essentially from the manufacturers at source. So this current situation, obviously they've stopped producing because they've just been building up inventories at this point in time, or they're sitting on inventories at this stage. So by not producing, essentially SARS is foregoing those taxes at the very early stage.
The tax loss from cigarette and alcohol sales is water under the bridge.
It's difficult to imagine that smokers are suddenly going to be smoking more to make up, and the same goes with drinkers. It's unlikely that would ever be made up, and in fact, 99% of it will probably never be made up.
While those sin taxes are gone, there are other taxes that have also been lost.
There are other taxes that are forgone as part of that, and that includes the VAT. And ultimately your corporate income tax, which then trickles down into dividends tax as well. So the tax impact is throughout the full extent of the taxes or tax types that we have as well. And that is a little bit more difficult to quantify.
There was a 19.7% decline in import taxes, with import VAT down 25% and customs duty down 11.8%. As the authorities attempt to get the economy kick-started again, there's still going to be a huge revenue shortfall, and that's not going to be made up anytime soon.
That economic review in South Africa brings this news bulletin to an end. Well, viewers, that's all we have for you for now, and of course for today. But for more details on this, you can also log on our website on africa.tv. Many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching and stay safe. Bye for now.
But in contact about it.
man kontaan boy mu ne boy nga nyimbata mbe taki tubabu du boy boy nga nakodo mbe doku boy ngaki na nyinkendi moyo boy pura e bumulo nyi boro na bungo hani lento amon futaji boy de jibe lu njumala ya fanyi koy babun lola ama me ila bungo jibe abadane jara foy te lafta fula nyi man balwo kalam mun balwo fo balwo ko budlo ko fanan kede boy nyim bungo jara be nyamende abe mu balwo la do ko
ñin kunne soniyata ta www.baluwo.com anin baluwo isela bulloran jorangol be sang anila kudola asatare mambata jorangol membu ko cemento kenyo babarol nil peruwol woni nga nyon jamal ta baluwo.com yin jorangol be sang ila dinkira bado adungite batala je anin baluwo ifangole marate la kudola
أحسمه حين يتعدى لسر رممي لم يمتحنا بما تعيقون به حصارنا ولم ولم نهمي أعيا الورى فهم معناه فليل يرى للقرب والبعد غير منفهم كصمد طوار للعينين من طرد صغيرة وتكل طرف من أمي وكيف يدرك في الدنيا حقيقة قوم يا منتصر لو عنه بالخلم فمبلغ العلم فيه أنه بشر وأنه خير خلق الله كلهم من سلسي ماذا أقط ومن له الحسن فقط محمد الهادي الذي عليه جبريل هبط محمد بشر لا كالبشر بل هو كالياقوت بين الحجر محمد بشر لا كالبشر بل هو كالياقوت بين الحجر اللهم صل على من فاتحيته لبديع الإيجاد البراعة الاستهلال ومن خاتميته براعة المختم والكمال اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد بحر أنوارك ومعدن أضرارك ولسان حجتك وعروش مملكتك وإمام حضرتك وطيور ملكك وقذائن رحمتك وطريق شريعتك المتلذذ بتوحيدك إنسان عين الوجود والسبب في كل موجود عين آيان لخلقك المتقدم من نور ضيائك صلاة تدوم بدوامك وتبقى ببقائك صلاة لا منتهي لها دون علمك صلاة ترضيك وترضيه وترضى بها عنا وعن والدينا وأزواجنا وأشياخنا وذرياتنا يا رب العالمين لي سادتنا من هذهم أقدام فوق الجبال إن لم أكن منهم فلي بحبهم عز وجاه فبجاههم وبهزهم طيب لنا عيش الحياة واختم لنا بالخير يا من لا لنا رب سواه تهنئة الربيع بمرحة الصفيع بالمنطق البديع أي بها مؤمليا
ربيعي بمرحة الصبيعي بمنطق البديع الربيع
مؤملي أهلا بشير المولد ذكرنا بالمهتدي أصل الأصول سيدي حبيبنا المبجلي
بمرحتي صبيعي بمنطق البديعي الربيع
مؤملي قد كان خير مرسلي قبل الوجود الأولي ولم يكن من جندلي لأصلنا المؤصلي
بمرحتي صبيعي بالمنطق البديعي الربيع
مؤملي لم يدري خير الخلق في خلقه وكلك سوى إله الحق من ملك أو مرسل
بمرحتي صبيعي بالمنطق البديعي الربيع
مؤملي فشأنه شأن عجيب ورمسه رمس الحبيب رمز الحبيب للحبيب في العرب غير مسكين
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي يا الامام المعتلى متى اجاب بالبلاء لولا هدام مشكلة لعظم ما قد ينجلي
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي لولا الحبيب المرتضى ما نيل ماذا يرتضى ودينه الذي ارتضى إلهه بالأزلي
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي أهلا به إذ حملا أهلا به إذ أنزل مفقما مبجلا كفاك كل الرسل
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي أهلا به إذ أرسل وإذ صرى ونزل ونال ذكرا منسلا وليس بالمبدل
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق البديعي او بها
مؤملي أهلا به هنا تلا صبح المثاني مسجلا ونوره تأصلا من مجده المؤذل
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق البديعي او بها
مؤملي أهلا بمحراب الوجود أهلا به عين الشهود أهلا بذلك الودود ونازل منزل
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي أهلا به من فاضل مفضل وواصل موصل وكامل في الناس خير مكمل
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي أهلا به من ماجدنا ممجد وحامد محمد وواحد وموجد مكول
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي أهلا به من عابدنا مجاهد وشاهد قاتل كل عاند للحق مهما ينجلي
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي أهلا به إذ جاءنا منا بدفع ما لنا من معدل الكرسانة بل كل شيء مشكلي
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق الابديعي او بها
مؤملي يا ربنا صل على نور الإله المعتلى من قصه الأقوال بالمحكم المنزل
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق البديعي او بها
مؤملي صل على من عمروا لم يدره وصوروا من نوره وصوروا ما كله من العلي
بمرحتي سبيعي بالمنطق البديعي او بها
مؤملي صل على من سجدنا لنوره إذ أبصرت أملاك رب أحكمت آياته من أزلي
بمرأتي سبيعي بالمنطق البديعي أو بها
مؤملي صل على الإثنين رمسة كل اثنين وسره في اثنين وذاك سر أزلي
بمرأتي سبيعي بالمنطق البديعي أو بها
مؤملي صل على البصير حين أتى النبي